Good afternoon and welcome to the August 4th, 2023 meeting of the Rotary Club of Beavercreek. I want to thank Chris Hadley and Dave Dunst for being our greeters today. Thanks to Eric Marcus for being our ticket master, among other things. Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Swift, the great programs that we have. Jim Gundel for handling the website. I would like to invite Vinnie Jarvin forward for an invocation.
Good afternoon. Would you please join me in prayer? Oh, Creator, on this absolutely gorgeous day, we thank you for all of those who have assumed leadership positions in Rotary. Rotary is a terrific organization that helps people worldwide, including with our little hand, helping the Rotary Club in Raffles City in Singapore, partnering with them to help the ladies in the country of Cambodia. We thank you for this opportunity to share with each other our fellowship, our enjoyment of this meal, and for the blessings that you shower upon us every day. Amen.
Thank you, Denny. All right. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
And then we have a couple get Dan, whoever.
Yes, I've got Brianna with me today. Sorry, sidebar conversation. She's my niece. She's working with me, getting my paperwork in order, and I'm teaching her a trade. So for the rest of her life, if nothing else, she can definitely support herself. So
And I'd like to introduce Ravi Khanna, who will be a speaker for us here coming up. He's an oncologist out of Springfield, recent to retirement, and he's going to speak to us. He's a member of the Hindu temple here in Beavercreek. So, all right. Sergeant at Arms, Don Adams.
Is this where I do it? It's been 3 weeks, so. Good. Today is August 4th, 2023, the 216th day of the year. There's only 149 days in May, and I don't know where those 216 days have gone. It's just amazing. Today we celebrate Mother's Day, Hooray for Kids Day, one of my favorites, International Beer Day. Yeah. Wow. National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. National Water Balloon Day. And not to be outdone by beer, National White Wine Day. Wow. And then for those of us in the room, it's Raisin Bran Day. Single Working Women's Day. Tomboy Tools Day. And the U.S. Coast Guard birthday. It's also Air Conditioning Appreciation Day, which we really appreciate. Some of you won't like this one, but it's International Clown Week, International Mathematics Week, and for the rest of us, National Cleanse Your Skin Week. It's probably good to do that at least 1 week a year. Simplify your life week and Twins Day. A lot of things going on. There was actually about 13 more, but I didn't want to put them all in there. Today in history, in 1790, the United States Revenue Cutter Service is established to serve as an armed customs enforcement service, becoming the U.S. Coast Guard. In 1821, the first edition of the American magazine, The Saturday Evening Post, was published. I used to look forward to getting that every week. It was fun. In 1830, the plans for Chicago, the city of Chicago, were laid out. In 1862, one of the worst days in history, the U.S. government collected its first income tax. In 1892, Sunday school teacher Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother were murdered with an axe in Fall River, Massachusetts. Gordon was later arrested, tried, and acquitted. So she didn't do it. In 1936, American athlete Jesse Owens won his second gold medal at the Berlin Olympics, beating a German in the long jump. In 1944, Anne Frank was arrested in Amsterdam by German security police following a tip-off from an informer who was never identified. In 1960, a rocket-propelled U.S. Air Force research aircraft set a record of 2,150 miles per hour. Can't imagine how that. Can you imagine the Sonic movie? That one. So recent. In 1984, American athlete Carl Lewis won the 100 meter in 9.9 seconds in Los Angeles, the first of 9 Olympic medals over 3 games. And there was a very sad day on this date in 2015. Miss Piggy and Kermit announced the end of their relationship. And I thought there's been some things to note since I've been up here for a couple of weeks. Some companies might be a little older, but remember birthdays. Bob Coach, his birthday is July 30th. Nathan Easter, July 31st. And Joe Jenkins was July 20th. I have some member anniversaries here. Sandy Brubaker, 8 years. Jim Jabor, 31 years. Brian Jarvis, 14 years. David Stewart, 49 years. And Alex O'Hara, 8 years. Couple of wedding anniversaries. I know this is past, but Jeff and Carol Fiorita was 34 years. And then Paul Ott and his wife Julie, I don't know how many years that was. Before I get into something else, there's a little story I want to tell you, since the governor and assistant governor are here today, it kind of works out. I don't want to interrupt. You want to share that with us, Eric?
No.
Okay, sure.
I was teasing.
As some of you know, I do part-time car service. I pick people up at the airport and drive them different places. Last Friday, I picked up a lady from Egypt that was going out to Yellow Springs. And we spent about 3 hours together because her bag was lost and all that. But she wanted to do some traveling around the area on Saturday. So she brought a friend of hers with her. Her name is Clarissa, and she's from Slovakia. But we were talking, and one of the things that came up was I told her I was a member of Rotary. And Jasmine, who was the girl from Egypt, was, "Oh, Rotary, I know that." And then Clarissa said, "Rotary changed my life." And I said, "Okay, this I have to hear." But I guess she's from Brazil, and she was a student. And there was an activity at her school, and her headmaster came to her and wanted her to be the interpreter. Well, it turned out this activity was sponsored by Rotary. And the Rotary member came to her and said, "You would be a good exchange student." So about 6 weeks later, she got all signed up. She went to Slovakia as an exchange student, met her future husband there, decided that she wanted to be a professor. And when she got back, she went through school. And then she was in San Diego for 6 months for some class she had to take. She was given a scholarship, but she realized that scholarship wasn't going to last very long because it was $2,000 a month for a one-room apartment. And she said, "Well, let me check with Rotary." So she went to the Rotary Club, and the guy said, "Well, Rotary really can't do anything, but we have a member here that might." And she talked to him. He had a room. He let her live there free for 6 months. And she said, how would you do this? Why do you live for free? You're a Rotary exchange student. So it works. It really is international. So, and in the same lines, in my never-ending quest to bring you useful information that keeps you socially acceptable, I would title this one "Etiquette in Faraway Lands." Shaking hands seems to be the polite way to meet and greet people. However, when in Russia, do not offer to shake hands in a doorway. It's said that the house spirit lives there, so you have to either go all the way in or all the way out. Also in Russia, if you're squeezing past someone in the theater, you don't turn your back on them, you turn and face them. So that you're looking them right in the eye, because anything else is considered unfriendly. And also in Italy, where it's still generally considered polite to allow a woman to go through a door first, the rule goes away when you come to enter a restaurant. Because when you go in the restaurant, the man can be the one to talk to the host and get the table. When you're in India, avoid eating with your left hand. Because the left hand is seen as disgusting, as it's normally used for things in the bathroom. And the same is true for countries in the Middle East and in parts of Africa. But if you go to Great Britain, the left hand is very important because that's how you pass the board. The only thing worse than passing the board with your right hand is not passing the board at all. And then also in the United Kingdom, it's noted that sticking your middle finger up at someone is bad form. But in the United Kingdom, flashing a V is also, it's the same as flashing your finger. So you remember those things. There you go.
This one's fine.
Yeah, that's the bad one. See, someone's been there, he knows.
I lived in England for a couple of years. I know all about.
And also in Russia, Greece, Iran, Sardinia, and parts of West Africa, a thumbs up gets a thumbs down. It's also the equivalent of flipping someone off. So when you're there, you do this. Attended church in years, suddenly began attending faithfully on Sunday morning instead of going fishing, which was his normal habit. The pastor was highly gratified at the end of the service one morning and told him, "How wonderful it is you make me feel at your service. How wonderful it makes me feel to see you at our service with your wife." Well, preacher, the fisherman said, "Quite honestly, it's a matter of choice. I'd rather hear your sermon than hers."
Nice head.
No, I haven't. No. And then the 4th of July weekend was approaching, and Miss Pelham, the nursery school teacher, took the opportunity to tell her kids about patriotism. Since we live in a great country, she announced, one of the things we should be happy about is in this country we're all free. The little boy stands up in the back room and says, "I'm not free, I'm poor." And one of the company's finest technicians was drafted and sent to boot camp. At the rifle range, he was given some instructions on a rifle and bullets. He fired several shots at the target. The report came back from the target that all attempts had completely missed the target. The technician looked at his rifle, then at the target. He looked at the rifle again, and then at the target again. He put his finger over the end of the rifle barrel and squeezed the trigger with his other hand. The end of his finger was blown up. Whereupon he yelled down to the target area, "It's fine leaving here, the problem was down there." Even though Sal can go look at these, make sure they're okay. 8-year-old Sally brought her report card home from school. Her marks were good, mostly A's and a few B's. Remember, her teacher had written a comment at the bottom. Said Sally is a smart girl, but she has one fault. She talks too much in school. I have an idea I'm going to try, which I think may break her of that habit. Sally's dad signed a report card and put a note back on it. He said, "Please let me know if that idea works, because I want to try it on her mother." So self-driving vehicles only a matter of time before the country song comes out about a guy's truck leaving him. There was a woman and her 10-year-old son who were riding in a cab in New York City. It was raining and all the hookers were standing under the awnings. Mom said to the boy, "What are all those women doing?" "They're waiting for their husbands to get off work," she replied. The cabbie turns and says to her, "Geez, lady, why don't you just tell him the truth? They're hookers, boy. They have they get what meant for money. The little boy's eyes get wide. He said, "Is that true, Mom?" His mother, glaring hard at the cab, answers in the affirmative. After a few minutes, the kid asks, "Mom, what happens to the babies this woman have?" Most of them become cab drivers. A supermarket opened in New York. It was an automatic water mister. It had an automatic water mister to keep the produce fresh. Just before it goes on, you hear the sound of a distant thunder and the smell of fresh rain. When you pass the milk shelves, you hear cows moving, and you experience the scent of fresh cut hay. In the meat department, there's an aroma of charcoal grilled steaks with onions. When you approach the egg case, you hear eggs cluck and cackle, and the air is filled with a pleasing aroma of bacon and eggs frying. The bread department features a tantalizing smell of fresh bread, baked bread, and cookies. I don't buy toilet paper there anymore. As always, I like to leave you with a couple of positive quotes. What you do today can improve all your tomorrows. And you've got to get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed every night with satisfaction. Some of the fines for today: if you have a brother, whether blood or friendship, that's $1. If you've ever dropped or thrown water balloons, that's $1. If you're a twin, that's $2. If you've had a beer this week, that's $1. If you've had a glass of wine this week, that's $1. If you were late, I didn't see anybody really Rick was close, but.
Like 3 people we do, yeah.
No. Well, I said you were close. I didn't say you were late. That's $1. And if you're not wearing your rotary pin, that's $1. Down back in that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Rick, were you trying to throw other people under the bus there?
You bet your ass on
All right, who has a happy fun? Eric Marcus.
So I have a happy book because this afternoon, sometime between 5:45 and 6:15, we're picking Stephanie, the new host mom. Our new member and our new host mom are picking up our new exchange student at Dayton International Airport. So if you're free at 5:30 today and have $10 to pay for parking, come with us and meet our new student, Henry, is it Henry Gulden from Germany. He'll be with us for a year. Next week, we get a free exchange student. Dayton was unable to place their kid at a high school where they had host families, and we had host families here. So we've got a boy coming from Bosnia-Herzegovina and coming here on the 10th. He'll be at Beavercreek High School as well, but it'll be hosted by Dayton, but we'll get to keep them because they're paying.
Okay, this is Stephanie for agreeing to host.
I have a happy book because I decided I'm opening a youth hostel at my house this week. I'm being Henry from Germany. My son David was sponsored by you 4 years ago to Peru. He's coming home from Peru tomorrow, and then my daughter's coming back from her military training at the end of the month. So I'm going from 2 children to 5 children. Apparently, it's just very fun.
Come on.
50 years ago this week, I came back from my last trip to Vietnam.
Yeah, I've already put it in. I have 2 tickets to tonight's Dragon game. I have season tickets. They're very good seats, and I want to give them to somebody because I can't go. So if anyone wants 2 tickets to tonight's Dragon game, here they are.
All right. Thank you. Go. All right. Thanks.
So wanted to thank the police department for inviting us to Tuesday night's National Night Out. It's great fun, good reception. Saw some pretty cool people get in the dunk tank. And just to let you know, we got a lot of other activities coming up, including the open fire prevention week open house coming up in October, and the tri truck, which is on the same day. So
Good deal. Yes, ma'am?
I just want to tell you, spent the last 2 days at the convention center. AFRL had a conference there. When we started presenting the Dayton Development Coalition, they asked them to take the organization over, and they had a conference and they merged them. 1,700 of the smartest people in this country were here this week for that conference.
All right.
You know how much money that means for the service? This community. So I know that already.
That's. Any announcement? Jim.
Reminder, if you bought Dragons tickets, Dave Dunn's, tomorrow night is the Dragons game. If you bought them online, I'm just reminding you, it's Rotary night. Don't forget. You can come visit us in the fun section if you want. I'll be there with my niece who's will be a second grader this year. She's super excited to listen to
Okay, well, let's draw a ticket for our raffle. Our proceeds, or the club half of the proceeds, goes to fund our Christmas basket project. 943744. Parts. Yeah.
She is
Mike Rose, all right. So introducing our speaker today is going to be a Fairborn Rotarian and one of the 4 Fairborn Rotarians who are serving as Assistant District Governor, our Assistant District Governor, Roger Sloan.
It's nice seeing some familiar faces out there, no question, people from the Beavercreek Club. I'd like to do, it's my honor today to introduce the District 66 Governor, Doug Beatty. Doug is a graduate of the University of Cincinnati with a BA in economics and a certificate in business administration. Following Navy Officers Candidate School, he served in the United States Navy for over 22 years. He is a Gulf War Desert Storm veteran. He earned a Master's of Science in Software Engineering from National University, San Diego. He retired from the Navy on 1 August 2002 as a lieutenant commander, and he is a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He works for KBR Inc., a large 38,000 person multinational corporation which provides defense contracting support for the Air Force. Wrong. Rotary experience began as a member of the Rotary Club of Great Bridge, Chesapeake, Virginia in 1994. He transferred membership to the Rotary Club of Dayton in 2002, and then he transferred the membership to his current club, the Rotary Club of Springboro, in 2007, serving as president, foundation chair, and treasurer. After being president, he immediately got involved in District 6670 as an assistant governor, district trainer, and various committee assignments. Please give our district governor, Doug Beatty, a warm welcome to Beavercreek.
Roger, Roger, I thought you'd have us sing something. If you came from Fairborn, I figured we'd have.
Please don't. We have 6 clubs in the district that are singing clubs, and I don't look forward to seeing any of them. And I know this because I was assistant governor for Fairborn and for Xenia, and they were 2 of the 6. They would sing to me every time I got there. First job we're going to do is, this is not the theme now. We're going to take this off. We can have that. This is the theme now. Create hope in the world. Thank you, Beavercreek Club, for inviting me to come and speak to you. As a district governor, this is one of the fun things I get to do. As Eric
can attest to, your district governor-elect year is actually the hardest year because you're preparing, you're training president-elects, you're doing all kinds of things. So it's a very arduous year. Once you get to be district governor, it's you meet and greet. You go around, shake hands and say hi. So I like that. Roger, thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. Most clubs make me do my own. So that was nice. Beavercreek, you have a very dynamic club. You have 66 members, down from 81 pre-COVID, but that's okay. Most of the clubs have had that same issue. But I look around this room and I see a lot of older men. We need to work on that.
We're trying to get younger.
You're trying to get him on that. It's not working. You have a very vibrant club. You do a lot for the community. You guys have done a per capita giving of $112 a person last year, which is outstanding. So the only thing I can say is you need more women and younger people. And I'll explain that in a little bit. The title of my speech, and I move, you have to understand, I teach graduate school for the United States Air Force on the base. I teach graduate engineering and program management. And I tend to walk as I teach, so I can't stand behind a podium. It just drives me nuts. So you'll see me kind of move around. But anyway, this is fun to do on a regular basis. But the title of my speech is, "This is not my father's Rotary anymore." And I can say that because my dad was a Dayton Rotarian for 35 years, a major donor, and he lived and breathed Rotary. In fact, when I joined Rotary back in Virginia, I joined just because of my dad. I said, well, since dad did it, I might as well too. So I became a member of a Rotary club. And I would go every week. I would eat the meal. I'd say the pledge, say the four-way test, and that was it. So then the Navy decided to transfer me to Dayton because they said, look, you were stationed in Newport, Rhode Island, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, San Diego, Long Beach, Virginia Beach. It's time we sent you somewhere it's not so nice. So they said, well, we're going to send you this joint job as a program manager at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio. And I said, great, you're sending me home. Because I was born in Springfield, raised in Western Clark County, went to the University of Cincinnati, as you heard. So I was like, great, you're sending me home. So they didn't achieve what they were trying to do. Got here, and as soon as I retired from the Navy, I rejoined Rotary at the Dayton Rotary Club, because guess what? Dad was there. I could go to a Monday lunch with my father. That was always fun. He was a bad boy. I have to tell you that right now. He sat in the very back of Dayton Rotary. If you know anything about Dayton Rotary, it's a very stuffy club.
Yeah.
There's like 250 members now. It's very stuffy, and you better bring a checkbook. Because if you breathe wrong, they're going to fine you $10. I noticed you were doing $1 fine. The minimum fine at Dayton Rotary is $10. And if you get your picture in the paper, it's $100, called a day 100. Very expensive club to be in. And I was like, Dad, I really can't afford this. But I stepped back with him and the bad boys, and he was always in trouble with whatever. So but that was what I thought was still Rotary. I was committee chair one year for Hans Burkle, who was the president of the club, who became a district governor here in our district. Unfortunately, he passed away. Dr. Hans Burkle, and after he got done with his Rotary year, he came to me and said, Doug, I want you to leave the club. I'm like, what? He said, yes, I need you to leave the club. You live in Springboro. I said, yes, I do. He says, well, that little club down there's only 13 members and it's really hurting. I need you to go down there and help them because I want to have a good, successful year as district governor. So I transferred to the Springboro. So that's why I went from Dayton Rotary, very expensive, to Springboro Rotary, which is not expensive at all. I got there, no more than 6 months went by, and they said, oh, you got a lot more Rotary experience than we thought. You're going to be president-elect. I went to the bathroom at the wrong time. It was a little club of 13, like I said. So it was my turn. So I got to go be president-elect, go to Pets. And that's when I became a Rotarian. Because when I went to Pets, the light bulb went on. And I went from just being a member of Rotary, being a Rotarian. So if any of you ever get to be president-elect of this club, please do not miss pets. There was a past district governor from Wilmington, North Carolina there. His name was John T. Capps. Unfortunately, John passed away a year ago. And he was Mr. Enthusiasm. He was bald and always had a Rotary tattoo on somewhere on his head. And he told the stories and got me so enthused about Rotary. That's why I became a Rotarian. And that's why when I got done with being president of my club, I immediately got involved in the district to continue to do things. Good thing. So that's why I became a Rotarian and how I became a Rotarian. But like I said, it's not my father's Rotary anymore. I'm going to give you a real quick history lesson because I found out a lot of new Rotarians have no clue how Rotary has come about. So here's the pocket version. 1905, 4 men, led by a guy named Paul Harris, decided they were going to get together on a weekly basis to learn more about each other's business because they wanted to find ways to network and to do business together. So in order to do that, they decided they would go and meet at each person's location. So they rotated around the 4 locations. That's how it became Rotary, amazing as it sounds. And so that was how the first club started in Chicago, Illinois. A couple more years forward, there's more clubs going out there now. This idea had caught fire and started spreading across the Midwest and into New England and even into Canada. So it was truly an international organization early on. But it was all focused on membership and doing business together. That's what their focus was. And what happened in 1913? Were you there, Bob? I tease people. That's right. The Dayton flood had occurred a couple months earlier, and the International Convention for Rotary was being held in Cincinnati. So a Rotarian from the Dayton Rotary Club, last name was Patterson, go figure, told all the delegates at Cincinnati, I want you guys to come up and see the devastation in Dayton. So they bust the entire convention up to Dayton. And they saw firsthand the destruction. And that's when Rotary says, we need to do something about it. So they took up a collection and donated the money to Dayton to help with the rebuilding. That was in 1913. 1917, the Rotary International president was Arch C. Clump. Now you have to understand that he was president of the Cleveland Club in 1913, and he saw the destruction firsthand. So in 1917, when he was the Rotary National President, he started the Rotary Foundation. And the Kansas City Club donated $26.50 to start the foundation. And back then, that was a major amount of money. So now you know where we get the $26.50 from. So all of a sudden, there's a big shift. We went from just membership and business to now philanthropic also. Let's carry that forward. Late 70s, we've had the foundation, but they've done little projects, and they decided it's time to do a big project. Let's go to the Philippines and inoculate kids for polio. So Rotary did that. They went to the Philippines, inoculated them for polio, and said, you know, there's wild polio all over the world. Now, unfortunately, I am actually old enough, because I am in my 60s, even though I don't look it. Oh, how's that? I remember in 3rd grade, a girl in my class had braces on both her legs because she had polio. So I actually saw it firsthand. I know a lot of these gentlemen here probably saw it firsthand. It's not a good disease to have. So Rotary said, you know, 1982 let's make this polio plus. It became a major effort that we are still today doing. We're this close. There's only 2 countries left with wild polio virus, Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's been difficult because of the Taliban.
Yeah.
They like to shoot our people that are in there trying to do the good deeds. But I'm here to report, in the last 6 months, there have been 0 new cases of wild poliovirus in those 2 countries. So we are really close. So that was the next major shift in Rotary, is not only becoming philanthropic, but being philanthropic on a global level. Now here comes another major shift. My dad remembered this one. Women. Oh my God. They joining Rotary. It was all good old boys club until 1986, 1987 Rotary year. The Supreme Court said you must let women be in Rotary. So the first women joined Rotary. I remember Dayton Rotary, that was a big deal. And then the actual date of what everybody remembers is 1989. 1989 is when Rotary International codified it for women across the globe. But in the United States, women started joining in the 86, 87 Rotary year. Huge seismic shift in Rotary. So there's the next big shift. But again, this is still my father's Rotary. Even though we added women, it was still pretty much, it's still a good old boys club. And thankfully, from 1987 on, more and more women have joined Rotary. The goal in Rotary is for every club to have at least 31% be women. This club, you have 1 in 6. So you need to get 2 at 6. So you really need to work on that. My club, we are almost 40 members now, and we are 50% women. And our average age is 45. I am the 3rd oldest person in the club. And we get a lot done. We do 10 service projects a year. We do 1 every month, except for November and December. And it's because the women tell us to go do it. And they make us do it. And we get it done. They get everything. So I encourage you, younger people, more ladies, please, in your club, and you will be amazed at the changes in the dynamics. But the reason why I said this is not my father's Rotary anymore, had nothing to do with any of that I told you now. We had something called COVID. COVID changed everything. I assume you have this. Is this on? Yeah. This is a hybrid meeting. This is the 3rd one I've seen this week. It's a hybrid meeting. We met by Zoom for how many? 18 months. So now all of a sudden we have all this social media that we're doing. We have the internet, we have Zoom, we have all these different things now that are connecting us all over the globe instantaneously. The face-to-face is great because it's fellowship, and we still need that. But it's not the only way people are meeting. There are still some clubs that are 100% on Zoom. They haven't gone back to meeting face-to-face. So it's a completely different paradigm. What's important is our public image, and how we present ourselves to the world, and how we engage with the younger generations. So it's not my father's Rotary anymore. It's a whole brand new Rotary. And you all get to be a part of it. That's the exciting thing, is you're part of the new pioneers, because you're really truly pioneering a new way of doing business. So quickly, let's talk about the priorities. In the old days, it used to be his year, her year, my year, their year. It's not that way in Rotary anymore. Rotary really wants the continuity and consistency. So my goals are pretty much the same that Frank had last year. They're pretty much the same that Carol had the year before. I'm pretty sure that Dottie, who follows me from the Fairmont Club, has pretty much the same goals too. That way there is stability for you guys at the club level. Instead of going, well, this disregard wants us to go do all this, oh, that one's done, then let's go over this way. It causes a lot of churn. It's not necessary. So the goals are quite simple. Membership, number 1, we have to grow our membership. We need to get our average age down, and we need to get our demographics and diversity up a little bit. I'm not going to push DEI. It's something that's supposed to work itself out over years. It's not something we have to address right at the first moment, but we need to always think, how can we diversify? How can we engage folks? How we can get people in? What would cause them to want to be here? So that's important. So membership. Number 2 is the youth. This club, did you have an interact club at Beavercreek High?
Yes. Yeah,
Do you still have an interact club at Beavercreek High?
still exists. I'm not sure it's operating. We're gonna get it relaunched in September.
What I'm encouraging is every club that had an interact club to reconstitute it this year. Just good to hear that you're going to do that. And for the clubs that have never had an interact club, I'm encouraging them to start an interact club. Because every club has at least one high school in their area. We should have an interact club, at least 46 of them. We have 46 clubs. So get your interact club going back. Now, there's something else called Rotaract. And most clubs, I don't talk to them about Rotaract because they aren't really close to a major university. However, you guys are. There's something called Wright State right across the hall. You guys need to think about and figure out how to do Rotaract. We will get a Rotaract coordinator for the district. That's the one position I haven't filled yet. Because we need to start Rotaract clubs at the universities again. We gotta get them. And why am I so focused on those 2 programs? It's because those are our future Rotarians. Remember, we're trying to bring the average age down. So what we need to do is work on getting Interact and Rotaract to be a vibrant way to get them engaged with Rotary so that then they become a Rotarian. Youth programs are also highly important to me. RILA. Yeah, I hear Shannon back there. Shannon is our district committee chair for RILA. RILA is important. Every club should send at least 2 students. We can handle what, 100? That's about the cap of the facility. Yeah, so we can handle 2 per club and still have extra. So please make sure you send at least 2 this year. There, another very important program. We also have Rotary Youth Exchange, as you just heard from Eric. You've got literally 2 inbound. My little club of less than about 40 members. We have an inbound. She arrives from India on the 8th, and we have an outbound. We have a student who's going to Columbia. So Rotary Youth Exchange, very important. So youth is my second. Third, of course, is foundation giving. Like I said, you guys gave $112 a person last year, which is great. Keep it up. Keep doing the foundation. Enough said. Last is public image, which goes for membership. The way we reach the younger generations is social media. They look at things like Snapchat. They look at things like LinkedIn. Older people look at Facebook. You've got Instagram, Twitter. So we are, as a district, trying to use all those venues to get our message out to the younger people so that they can get engaged. The younger generations don't want to come to a meeting and sit and eat lunch. They want to do things with their hands. They want to get out there and do service projects. So I encourage you to do service projects where they can come and actually work, because that's what they're looking for. And then we need to look at costs. How much do you pay for a lunch every day here? 16. But that's actually kind of reasonable. I think Dayton is down to $32 for their lunch. Wow. Yeah. So my club, which is a breakfast club, is no longer a breakfast club. We're a coffee club. The only thing we provide is a cup of coffee. And that's because we were smart enough to get the Big B coffee guy in our club, and he brings coffee for free. Really good. But now that's why I have an average age of 45 in my club. It's because they can afford it. They're basically paying an administrative fee for the year for our club, and the district dues and the Rotary International dues. That's all they're paying. But it gets them engaged. So that's why our Rotary today is not what it was for my father back before he passed away in 2015. You guys are on the cutting edge now. And so glad to be here. Now, the way I always end my speeches is, do you have any questions for me?
Is Jim Beakey any relation to you?
Jim Beakey is my uncle,
He was a state representative for 3 terms.
state representative for 24 years.
24.
And he was in the majority leadership for about 20 of those years.
All right.
In fact, they wanted him to be Speaker of the House before the householder for that fiasco. But he couldn't because my aunt Sharon was in bad health, which she's passed away. But that's why he turned that down. But yeah, that's my uncle Jim Beakey and my dad's younger brother. Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. And it was also Beakey Sausage Meat Company.
The Charles G. Beakey Meat Packing Company. I'm actually the 5th generation. My generation, my first cousin Kate actually sold the business to Cisco. But from 1870 to 2007, we did meat packing, and that's how I spent my summers.
Right.
Because it's fair season, and I got to go and butcher cows. Yay. Hogs are another story. They're even worse. They're mean. They're just plain mean.
Do you know what your uncle said all the time? I served with him when you were talking about. He used to say bills are like sausage. You like the end product, but you don't want to see how it's made. That sound like him?
Mr. Brooks, yes, that is. That is true because I actually work on the sausage floor, and I can tell you right now, you don't want to eat hot dogs. Oh, by the way, if you're eating bologna, you're eating hot dogs in a bigger form. It's the exact same form. Slime. Oh, good to see you. It's been a while. But yeah, that was my uncle. He's 82 and he's still in Columbus at least 3 days a week. He's a consultant for Batchelder and Associates. And he's the one who's been working very hard to repair the rift in the Republican caucus there, because there's 2 schools of thought, and he's been working hard to bring them back together. So he's there quite a bit. 82. He was a Rotarian in Greenville, by the way. Next question. Yes, sir.
Talks about Rotary International's approach to mental.
You stole my thunder because that's how I ended it. That's what he Roger. Rob here should push me to get done. He's like, get out of here. As you can see, this is Gordon McAnally's create hope in the world. Gordon's goals are very close to what Jennifer Jones's goals were last year, with the exception of one thing. Gordon added mental health. Mental health for our clubmates. Mental health for our community. He wants to eliminate the stigma of somebody having a mental health issue. It should not be a stigma. It should be us helping the individual. COVID was a disaster for human interaction and caused untold damage to people's mental health. And so Gordon wants us to focus on taking care of each other in our clubs, taking care of each other in our districts, taking care of our region, and then globally. There's so many people hurting that we need to work on that. That's why mental health is a big issue now. Gordon has a personal stake in this. He lost his brother to a mental health issue. And when you hear his story, there's not a dry eye in the house. So mental health is a big issue that we're going to see more of. You'll see more in our newsletters about how we can work together as clubs and within the club to make sure you're taking care of your people. So mental health is huge. Any last questions? Well, it's been fun being here. Every club, if you visit a Rotary Club, you've visited one Rotary Club, because every club does it differently. So I have to be prepared for whichever way each club goes. So it was always a pleasure. It's always fun to be here with one of my good friends, Eric. Yeah, and it's good to see that he's still a jabberbox because he's back there talking instead of listening to me, which is normal for Eric. Of course you are. I'm glad you are. That's Eric. Everybody knows Eric. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
As is our custom, we are donating a book. This is Apple Crush, is going to be donated to the Beavercreek Community Library in honor of Doug. And we appreciate that. Thanks, Roger, for coming to introduce him. Our August 11 greeters are the O'Shaughnessy's. And keep an eye on the upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and on Facebook. Does anybody else have any announcements or anything for the good of the club? Okay, so one thing on membership. So a couple of years ago, we split our membership director into a standard membership director and then club engagement, which is Chris Hatley. Our membership director is Sandy Brubaker. So if you think of somebody who you might want to invite to Rotary as a potential member, talk to Sandy. If you notice that somebody's not showing up to meetings or as active as they were, talk to Chris about re-engaging those people. If you all rise for the pledge. Doug, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I so nice. Down in front. Yeah. Let's know how that Thanks, Bob. Very nice meeting you. We'll see you on the 25th.
So, some of the things he's discussing. At our international level, we have a president who kind of puts down an agenda for the year, and kind of thought what he was mentioning about going to the specific training. That's his president-elect training.
Oh,
And so anybody who's like, yeah, so as soon as somebody is voted by their club to be the president-elect, they go to that training and it's what needs to be done. Yep. Thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you.
Actually, I think I came for the right meeting because, as a, because this is all learning about.
Right.
Rotary, right? So,
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, thanks.
Right.